Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Special Envoy Linda King, I'd like to spend some time with you. You've been dealt a tough hand. I'd like to talk with you about the designation that the Trump administration made of the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization, and the fact that shortly after the Biden administration took office, they delisted the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization. We saw what's happened in the time in between. There have been attacks on our allies at UAE, attacks on our allies, the Saudis. We've seen attacks on U.S. personnel and our facilities in the Middle East. We've seen a tremendous amount of unrest since that time. And I think you know, but I'm going to read it for my colleagues here, what the designation of a foreign terrorist organization requires. First, it requires that it's a foreign organization. Indeed, the Houthis are. The organization engages in terrorist activity, or it retains the capability and intent to engage in terrorist activity or terrorism. Yes, they do. And finally, the terrorist activity or terrorism of the organization threatens the security of the United States nationals or the national security of the United States. The Houthis meet these requirements. My question for you, was the Trump administration wrong in designating the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization?
Well, thank you, Senator. At that time, as you probably know, there was a strong movement within the Trump administration to designate the Houthis. It led to the FTO. A new administration came in, sought to prioritize Yemen as a foreign policy priority, and I believe that effort has borne fruit in terms of the peace process, which I described. But yes, over time—
I heard you describe the peace process, but with all due respect, I also saw the article in Foreign Affairs where our national security advisor claimed that the Middle East was the greatest period of peace we've ever seen, and now we've seen what happens. My question is, what do the Houthis have to do to be declared a foreign terrorist organization? Do they have to kill Americans?
Certainly not. I think we have come down hard with this designation that we have. The FTO is a possibility. I think we can constantly assess the impact of the campaign that we're doing, both the military, the impact of the designation. The SDGT, Senator, that I described will cut off financial networks, their ability to fundraise. It will put some hurt. And if we need to adjust to the FTO, if these attacks continue, then
well, they certainly have continued at a rapid pace. I'd like to see more than a little hurt. I'd like to see this addressed, sir. Let me go to another thing that concerns me, and that has to do with the diversion of the aid that we send to Yemen. I think about what Hamas has done with the aid that we've sent to Gaza. I'm deeply concerned that the Houthis may as well divert the aid that we're sending, the U.S. taxpayer-funded humanitarian aid that we're sending into Yemen. And I've got a very disturbing example here. I'm sure there are others. But the Biden administration right now is sending over $1.1 million for the Yemen-based operations of Norwegian People's Aid. Norwegian People's Aid. This is an organization, the NPA, that settled a civil lawsuit with the Department of Justice in 2018 for previously providing training and expert advice to the Iranian military and to Palestinian terrorist groups, including Hamas. And we're sending our tax dollars there. They started receiving them in August of last year, and they're supposed to be receiving them all the way through September of this year. We shouldn't send a penny to an organization like this. So my question to you, and I know this is a tough question to answer, but can you guarantee that our taxpayer dollars that are going to Yemen aren't in some way being diverted to the Houthis to support this activity that we're talking about right now?
Well, Senator, I think that's an incredibly important point. I'm not aware of any taxpayer dollar going to support this type of activity. That should not be happening. That is definitely not within the priorities of our—
And you guarantee that our taxpayer money won't wind up supporting the Houthis doing exactly what they're doing, which is putting U.S. and many other lives at risk, driving up inflation, not only in the region, as was described by Mr. Shapiro, but it's disrupting supply chains, it's causing cargo shipments to go up, it's causing inflation right here, hurting Americans at home. I'm concerned that we're right back funding both sides of the proposition here by sending this aid there.
Senator, I share the concern. I will certainly take a look at that.
I'd appreciate it. Secretary Blinken could not answer me either when I asked him about the foreign aid that's going into Gaza and that's being diverted by Hamas. Please address this. Thank you.
Thank you for your concern. Yep.